Hey everybody, Mega Ruler 31 here for FSI DFS. It is Wednesday, the 2nd of June, and we are going to be covering the late slate. There is a 4-game early slate on DK, 3-game on FanDuel, a couple weather issues, so I'll have to see if it actually plays out, or if threat to be rained out on FanDuel than DK. But if you're looking for information on that, McKinley 412 has a video for that, so pause this one, go to our channel, watch that, and then come back and we'll help you out with the night slate. Night slate, couple other issues possibly. Minnesota and Baltimore looks like later on in the game might be a little light rain towards the end. Miami and Toronto played in Buffalo, New York. Looks like it might start raining later on, so that one might not go the full 9, but it looks like they should be able to get most of it in. Every place else looks really good, so let's start with pitching. Pitching, I think there's only really 3 options today for pitching in cash games. The first one is going to be Walker Buehler against St. Louis Cardinals. He is very, very tough against righties. He is definitely the best pitcher on the slate. Comes in at 9.7 or DK. Let me just kidding. Let me switch to DK pricing, so that would be helpful. So he's definitely more expensive than that. He is, there we go, 10.6K. So I think he's definitely going to be a top pitcher on the slate. Dodgers are negative 240 favorite over the Cardinals. So right-handed lineup, he's good against righties. They had a bullpen game yesterday, so I think he might have a longer leash because David Price started out and they brought guys in from there. So if he's cooking, I think David Roberts will leave him out there for a while. Second one, and I know 2 days in a row it hasn't been great. Like Bassett was okay last night, not as bad as the night before when we recommended Oakland pitcher. But let's go back to the well again against Seattle. Seattle's even more banged up now. They lost Lewis. When they look like they're going to have J.P. Crawford leading off, they really don't have a lot of guys in this lineup. There's a lot of injuries. So Sean Manaea, lefty against them, which neutralizes their one major power bat, and Seager. Definitely, I know, Henniger and France and Murphy do have a little bit of power, but I think Manaea is going to go out there and have a very strong game against them. A negative 157 favorite. So I think tonight for pitching, you might have to pay up for these two. But there is an option. Like I said, weather in Toronto, but Manoah, this is only his second start, but he went out and pitched, I think, like 85, 88 pitches against the Yankees. Did really well. He is a top prospect. He is ready to go. He's not like really green and raw. I think he's definitely probably a better major league pitcher than a lot of major league pitchers that are out there, some even on the slate tonight. So I really like him against this Marlins team. I think he's going to go out there and get some strikeouts and keep the run production down. I think they have a 3.6 run total. Again, the only risk is like with the weather, so you have to keep an eye on that. But at 8.2, he's the most expensive pitcher on FanDuel, which is kind of weird. So he's even more expensive than Walker Buehler over there. So if that's telling you that FanDuel is going to be pricing him up, he's 10K there, and Walker Buehler is only 9.7. So if FanDuel is pricing him as the most expensive pitcher, then that definitely goes to show that they think that he's in for a decent game there. Again, so there's really not any cheap options. Some other ones to consider is Lopez in the other side of the game is 10K against a really good Blue Jays lineup. So I think he's definitely a good pitcher, but he's definitely a GPP play. Paying 10K for him against a good Blue Jays lineup in a smaller ballpark, that's pretty scary. Jordan Montgomery might be able to take a fly on against Tampa Bay. They have a high strikeout rate, but he's 9.3. It just like without options on this slate, I don't think I'd want to play 9.3 for him when I can just pay 300 more and get Manaea. And then Valdez hasn't been bad since he had one start back from his finger that he broke in preseason. he is one that is facing a Red Sox lineup. The righties are probably the best, but he has been pretty good this season. I can see him um, going out there. He might not get like 100 pitches, but he should get at least 80 pitches. So at 7-8, if you're looking to save, I think he's one to maybe consider. Again, a little bit risky. There's nobody past the top three that I said that isn't risky today. The other one that's maybe tempting is young pitcher Shane McClanahan against the Yankees. He is a K pitcher. He doesn't pitch deep into games, but at 7-6, he might be able to get some points with Ks if he keeps things clean early. They have a good bullpen though, so if he is struggling, I don't foresee, him staying out too long. They would probably get somebody else in there and try to stop the damage. It's a division game, so they want to win this. And the Yankees bats have been cold and quiet. I know they have dealt with some injuries, but this might be the night that sleeping dogs wake up. You never know. And the only other pitcher, again risky, that's cheap that I might make a case for would be Drew Smiley against Washington Nationals. We saw the Nationals beat up on a left-handed pitcher in Freeze yesterday. He's a good pitcher. So these righties, they don't strike out. They're pretty patient. They're decent, but I think, if you're trying to in GPP to save money to get a bunch of expensive bats in, then he's the one. So let's look at hitting stacks, and then we'll go game by game. Favorite stack is going to be the Braves against John Lester. They have a 5.51 total. Lester has struggled. There's a lot of good righties in this lineup. Acuna, Albies, Riley, Swanson, Abraham Almonte. I really like him. He's a switch hitting outfielder that's come in to take over for Ozuna with his injury and legal problems. So he's 2K. He's projected bad like 6 in the order. Like, I just think just lock him in against the left-handed pitcher here. I think, he can at least get like 5-6 points, and that's just a free square right there. Like, really like him. Don't think he's going to go like schmuck like the Cincinnati guy did a couple games ago where he had put up 33, but I think, he'll definitely get some points there. It's a great hitting situation. So I would definitely put him in lines. Minnesota, I think, is the next one. They get Matt Harvey. Again, watch the weather here, but I think they'll be okay. Love the right-handers against Harvey, reverse switch pitcher. Polanco, switch hitter. Donaldson, Cruz, Sano. Actually, Garver got hurt in the last game, so he might not be in. They have projected a left-handed, and I'm okay with lefties against Harvey also. So kill her off if he moves up in the lineup. I like him also, but this Ben Rotovedets, we'll just call him Benar. He is another 2K catcher. If he's in the lineup, great matchup, minimum price, and I love playing minimum price catchers to try to help the rest of the lineup, especially if I'm paying up for both pitchers. Next stack I'm looking at is going back to Coors Field. There's like a 3-2 game yesterday, very disappointing. Texas really didn't score that many runs, but they are still cheap. They are still so cheap. Calhoun 3.8, IKF 4.6, Nate Lau 3.7, Garcia is 5K, is the most expensive one. Joey Gallo 3.4. Looking for another cheap catcher, switch hitter. Haim is 2.8. So I'm definitely going back to the well and stacking some Texas tonight. I really like that. On the other side, the Rockies, well, I think it's a better situation because they were against Marquez last night, who's a decent pitcher, especially outside of Coors Field. But Senzel has like a below 20 K rate. He's not the same type of pitcher. So definitely like him. And then the other side, Joe Lyles is an okay pitcher, but not great either. And I think, both sides have a 5.5 total. It's pretty much a pick 'em game. A little bit, the money line goes to Colorado. They're a little bit more expensive. Tapia 4.8, Daza. He doesn't have the split, but they're at 3-1, still exposure to the game. Texas doesn't have a good bullpen, so maybe if he gets a lefty later in the game, that helps him out. McMahon, who's been very solid, 5.6 is the most expensive. Cron 4.8, Blackman 5.4. His price is creeping up there. I don't know. Like I said in yesterday's video, he's been better at home. He had 7 DK points yesterday. He had like a 28 one-off game, but he just really hasn't been that good this season. He keeps on falling further and further down the lineup. I think he's getting to the point where he's kind of going to be more of a platoon player. I think he's a little bit over the hill, doesn't have the speed anymore to steal bases. So 5-4, I don't know if I'm stacking him, yes, but I don't know if I'll play him as a one-off or if I'm trying to get a couple Rockies and make him priority. Then I really like the Dodgers. Carlos Martinez is really struggled this year. McKinley 412 has talked about stacking against him multiple times. Gave up 3 runs last time to Arizona, 2 to the Cubs, 5 to Colorado, and that wasn't even in Coors. Like he's had some games here where he's really not getting strikeouts. He's averaging like maybe 3 a game. Love this Dodger lineup. Betts, Muncy, Turner, Bellinger should be back in after getting a day off as he comes back from injury. Lux with the split advantage there, 3-9 for a shortstop. Even going back and like taking like McGinstry if you want to like go for 2-8 and do the wraparound. Sometimes it's hard to find a good second baseman, or he could also be a cheap outfielder. He's got dual eligibility there. So those are the stacks I like. Now let's just buzz around the games pretty quick. Like I said, Tampa Bay in New York. I can make a case for both pitchers here. McClellan, I don't know how deep he's going to go, but he has K upside against this Yankee lineup. But the park and actually against the Yankees kind of scares me a little bit. Jordan Montgomery on the other side is way overpriced, but Tampa Bay does strike out a lot, and they're with limited options if you want to go a little bit different. I don't hate playing him. He got blown up this first game against Tampa Bay, but had some pretty solid outings since then, even one against Tampa Bay. Don't really like the bats on either side here because if these pitchers do fail, the bullpens behind them are really good. So I don't want to go there. Twins and Baltimore. I'm not touching either one of these pitchers. Both of them are probably going to get hit and not last very long. Really love the Twins. Like I said, the catchers, 2K, Ben Rortvedt. As soon as I figure out how to say that, I apologize, Ben. But hope you have a great game coming out there at 2K and winning us some money as a minimum price catcher with a nice matchup. Baltimore, maybe some one-offs here. Actually, I don't mind in the GPP stacking the top 5 if it's Mullins. Mancini doesn't have the split advantage, but Santander, Galvis, and DJ Stewart all do. But Mancini's just such a good hitter, a little bit expensive. Again, not a priority for cash at all, but a GPP stack, I can definitely see it against this pitcher matchup. Again, watch the weather on it a little bit there. Marlins, Blue Jays, Pablo Lopez, GPP YOLO. He's up against good lineup, but he's been a good pitcher. He's been solid. He's been good against right-handers, and that's primarily what this Toronto lineup is. Manoah had a really good first game. He's a really good young pitcher. I think he's my favorite SP2 if this game plays, but your SP2 at 8.2 is pretty expensive, so we'll go over that in lineup construction at the end of the video. I really don't like any of the bats here. Maybe Toronto is a GPP stack against Lopez, but I'd rather just kind of fade this game, especially if they lose late at bats, just due to the weather concerns. Washington, Atlanta. Lester, definitely not. Drew Smiley, I think you can make a case for in a GPP, but Washington right-handed bats have been good against lefties and don't really strike out much, so take some chances there. Bat-wise, like Washington as a cheap stack, especially like Harrison and Castro filling in second and third base at 3K, like that. I'd probably just take pieces here. I don't think I'd take a full. Schwarber really struggles against lefties, so he's not an option. Soto, I think, is kind of matchup proof, but you get a little bit of discount going with the lefty there. He's only 4.9 today. So again, I think just take the 3K pieces to fill in or stack it, but not a priority. The Braves, though, are one of my favorite stacks against Leicester. Love all the righties. I could even make a case for Freeman here too. Especially if he doesn't go very long to get to the Washington bullpen, which is okay, but then you might have a lefty-righty matchup there. Boston at Houston. Valdez, again, you make a case for him. I think he's a little risky. He might not go deep, but 7-8, like the price on it. The Red Sox have struggled a little bit. They have some good right-handed bats in the lineup. Kiki, JD, Xander, Dahlbeck, Renfroe, but they also have some strikeouts in that lineup. So I think if you want to go in GPP and play, he's probably the cheapest pitcher on this. No, Smiley would be, but 7-8, he's like one of the few below 8 K that I kind of like here. Actually, McLennan is also. So there's a couple of them, but I think he would be one that would be very unique risk reward. Again, the bats on both sides. Pivetta gives up a lot of hard contact, so love like Alvarez and Tucker, the lefties there. If you want to throw in a couple of the other righties in the stack, I'm good with that. Boston could be another GPP stack. Again, go with the righties, Kiki, JD, Xander, Renfroe. Valdez is a good pitcher, so it's not like this is like a juicy stack, but it's something I can see working. Coors Field, neither one of the pitchers, like both sides of it, but favor Texas because of the pricing. And I think ownership will be lower on them just due to yesterday and them not hitting as well. So I think some people might be jaded and not play them. St. Louis and the Dodgers. Love Walker Buehler, top pitcher on the slate. Definitely lock him in against a right-handed lineup pretty much for St. Louis. Carlos Martinez has struggled. Really, he's not generating Ks. Love the Dodgers here, especially the lefties. Muncy, Bellinger should be back in Lux, but I'm okay with throwing Turner Betts in the stack too. It's a little expensive, but we'll see if we can make it work in lineup construction a little bit. I think Buehler has given up a couple home runs, so if you want to go with a YOLO GPP stack and $1 for St. Louis, don't hate that, but I'll probably play that, but I'm not putting a ton of money on that. Oakland, Manea against Seattle. I know Seattle's gotten annoyingly to the last 2 Oakland pitchers that I've played, and they haven't had great games, but I think this stops, and again, it might help drop ownership on Manea. I think if people go Buehler and Manoah, if he's available, and skip over Manea, I think that it gives you a lot of leverage if you do play him and figure out the bats and play a little bit more value bats and get more points. You know, if you can get 50 or 60 points between Buehler and Manea and your pitchers, and you get the right back combination, the value plays, if they all get 0, it doesn't matter. You should do well even up in tournaments. So that's where I'm looking to go, probably in cash. And we'll talk about that in a second. Lineup construction, Seattle flexing, 6-8, not horrible. Like this Oakland team has been good, but sometimes not. They only have a 4.4 total, so he's 6-8. I don't know. I think it's risky, but I think he'll have very, very low ownership. If you need to punt in a GPP, I think he is the only punt that I would really go with here in that price range under 7K. There's a lot of good 7K options, so I don't think you need them, but if you're feeling down in the late slate, maybe more so if you want to play like Buehler and flex into SP2. I think there's worse pitchers you can play like Harvey or Dombic or even like Lester or Pivetta, Lyles. Yes, yeah. So I think he's in play, but very, very low on the list. Okay, Oakland Bats, lefties there like Olsen, Brown, Mitch Moreland if he cracks the lineup at first base. Even Kemp, sometimes he hits higher up if there's a righty on the mound and he's in Jed Lowry. So not a huge priority stack. I think that's way down the line, but especially if you're not playing flex in the late night, I think, and can't afford the Dodgers, want something a little bit different, I think he's a good option. Okay, so that's all the games. So let's look at lineup construction. So let me actually, I'll be nice today, not just talk about it, and actually share my screen with you. We'll go with DK. Bring it up. Okay, so I think pitcher-wise, like I said, let's go Buehler and Manera and try to make the money there. So you see what we have left. is 37.25. Like I said, let's go all the way down and pick that Minnesota catcher for 2K. Where are you? The guy could not pronounce right here. Put him in. So that gives us almost 4K per player. So let's start with Texas. Like I said, I'm going to go back to the well there. So I'll take Garcia. It's going to be Finer Select, whoever is batting up higher. Fire or Halefa has been, and he actually has some speed, so I kind of like him there. Calhoun. Okay. So, okay, why is that letting me put? Why is that letting me put Lau in? There we go. Okay, so that leaves your second and third base. In this, you have 3K per player for second or third. I like that. I think there's definitely some good options there. And again, if you want to play around with this build and not use these guys, that's perfectly fine. Next build we'll look at is like if we're trying to get the Colorado stack. So it's going to be a little bit harder with Colorado. So let's see here. Hitters, we'll go with McMahon, definitely. Hampson, I don't know if he'll be in the lineup or not, but he's pretty expensive. Again, you're going to have to decide on Blackman. So if I'm stacking, I'll put him in there. Cron. Who else do I like here? Tapia. And probably Daza if he's in right here. So again, that leaves you third and shortstop. It doesn't leave you much. You'd have to find 2 minimum players if you go with this stack. So if you only go 4-man and you take Blackman out, then that gives you 3K. That's really nice. That can help you. If you do go Blackman back in, what you might need to do here is drop Walker and go, if this Toronto game is playing, if you put Manoah in there, then that gives you 3-2 per player also, which is kind of nice. And I think there's some guys for either if you drop the Blackman and have the 3K that way with Bueller. I think there's some Baltimore guys that fit in nicely into the rest of the stack to help you round that out. Going back, let's look at, like I said, the Braves are one of my favorite lineups. So let's throw them in quickly. We'll go back to Walker Bueller here and see if we can do it. Where's the Dodgers? There we go. Walker. Okay, so let's look at my hitters here. So Acuna, Freeman, Elbies, Riley, or Swanson. I think I'm going to go with Riley. And then, like I said, 2K, if he's in the lineup. Almonte, really like him. That leaves you shortstop and outfield. 3K remaining per player. That's definitely reasonable. You can get a really cheap outfielder, some options, and a mid-range shortstop. You can get a lower-range shortstop and pay up a little bit on outfield, get about a 4K guy. If you get a 2K guy, it works really well if you do that. So let's see, what else do we have that we can... The Dodgers, yes, the Dodgers were the other stack that I was looking at. Oops, got rid of my cheap catcher. I certainly hope this guy plays because I think he's an amazing matchup there for 2K for a catcher. That's great value. Put him back in. There he is. Okay, let's look at a Dodger stack quick, and then we'll send you off on your day to build your lineups and hopefully have a great return. So Dodgers, like I said, like Betts, Muncy. Apparently Minnesota is still checked. Bellinger, like I say, he should be back in the lineup. Turner, Taylor, your choice there. I think I'll go Turner to fill third base and then take Lux at shortstop. So that gives me first base and outfield. But see, I don't have enough money here for Manaea. So I think here we'll just drop down to Manoah again. And that gives me 2.6 per the two. There are some really good cheap first base options that I like, and then or a cheap outfield option. It is doable because that leaves you about a little over 3K if you get a. Let's just randomly pick. Not that I even know if any of these guys are playing. I'm just going to put a 2K guy in there. Not playing this guy. Do not put this guy in your lineup. So it gives you 3-3. So definitely gives you some options there to go with. And again, appreciate you watching these videos. If you have any questions, leave some comments below. Hit me up on Twitter at MegaRuler31. Please give us a like. That helps us so much. Helps us get this video out to so many other people. Subscribe to our channel. Recommend to some friends. And again, just watch the weather on those first two games that we talked about, Minnesota, Baltimore, and the Toronto game. And other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward. Your three pitchers, Buehler, Manoah, and Manaea. And if you're feeling a little bit frisky, mix another guy in. But top stacks, Atlanta, Minnesota, Coors, and Dodgers. So good luck tonight. Thanks for watching.